Me. This is Selena Roane, your host for Close to Death, powered by FEAR Paranormal on DPM Wicked Radio. Tonight, my guest is Justin Spreaker. He has been a paranormal researcher for over 21 years. What's up, Justin?
How you doing, Selena? Thanks for having me.
Hey, it's good to have you. Justin's been on my show when I had it on another network on video, and we talked about some cool stuff back in there, but we're going to start it off kind of different this time. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself, since they probably didn't watch my show when it was on video?
Okay, that's not a problem. My name is Justin Spreaker. I got my first paranormal experience around the age 5. I did not actively start investigating until I was around 14 years old, so it had been in the early 90s when I took my first video camera and set it up next to my bed to find out what was opening my closet doors each and every night. So that's kind of what got it going for me. I've always had a set of gifts, and it was hard to explain to others, so I just kind of kept them to myself until, I reached my early 20s, and then, I had experiences all through my teens, but when I reached my early 20s, I said, I've got to do something with this. It's pretty selfish of me to have these and then not use them for good, or to help others. So I do what I can with those, and here I am, 21, 22 years after I grabbed my first camera, and haven't given up since.
Yeah, it's kind of like when you get the bug, when something happens and you get actually any type of evidence of something that is there. There's more to this than what we see. And Absolutely. Once you get that taste, it's almost like a drug. I tell everybody it's worse than an addiction to me, because if I don't have a haunted place every other weekend, I'm having withdrawals. And that's bad. But you do get that bug. Now, I haven't really been actively researching or investigating or whatever for I've probably been a little about 3 or 4 years now. But I've been watching and I've been learning and I've been doing all that since my mom passed away. So, you learn all that, and then I've had abilities my whole life that, of course, I didn't understand and didn't really talk to anybody about, just like you, because I didn't want them to think I was nuts and putting me in a straitjacket, So what kind of abilities are we talking? I mean, can you let us in on the abilities that you might have? I mean, psychic or medium or sensitive? What would you label yourself as? I hate to label people, but just to kind of help the audience understand, No,
I understand completely, and I, too, I don't really label myself because I don't think I figured it out 100% yet, and I don't know that I ever will, as these gifts seem to change. I can actually let go of something in favor of gaining something, over here or there, and I'm still trying to get that down in the art of this whole thing, because it's too much for me. Maybe it's not for someone else, but it's too much for me to just say, hey, I can do this, and to give it a name. So I'll tell you how it started. Maybe not how it started, but the first thing I remember would be around age 14 or 15. I started having these visions in my head that someone was going to get a new car, one of my classmates or something like that. Where your first car is going to be this, and your parents are going to give it to you on this month. Kind of vague, not nailing it down to a day of the week or anything like that. But
right.
Nonetheless, when that came around, that's what happened. And someone would get this color car, on this month, and they were blown away, and they thought that I had been speaking with their parents, which I hadn't. And that's how it all kind of started, was with cars.
Okay.
So, excuse me. So, after that, I started hearing voices, come to me, and I'm like, well, where is this coming from? Is there someone outside the house? It sounds like it's right in my ear. And then I realized no one else is hearing these things, and I'm like, okay. Getting a little, I didn't want to admit it, but, hey, I'm hearing voices. And then I realized, what they're saying was they're asking me for help. They realized that, hey, this guy can hear me, and I don't think that's anything special. I think anyone could have this gift. It's not that I was born with it. I think I just more or less developed it by putting myself out there. And, it's no different than anyone else. It's just that some people excel in certain things better than others, but it's still possible for anyone to do this, I believe. That's my personal opinion.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you and I are both friends of Chip, and we've talked to him about it, and we asked him, I've asked him, I know, how does it work for you? And, he says he just doesn't, he don't know, it just does. It's kind of hard to, it kind of, you know how he is, he's a mess, but he's amazing, and his gifts are completely, I envy them, because I know everyone has a psychic ability within them, and we talked about that. It's the opening up, it's the not being so closed-minded about things and letting things happen and not thinking that you're crazy. And, the other day, I've been opening up because I'm an empath, and I've been trying to open up my abilities a little bit more, but shielding other people's feelings, and that's tough. But when I'm at an investigation, I can feel the feelings, I can feel the emotions. I really can't communicate or see just yet. I haven't got to that level, I guess. And I was like at a place about a month ago, and we were doing kind of a walkthrough, kind of a scouting out of place or whatever, and I just kind of said, I got this name in my head, and it wasn't in my voice. It was a guy's voice, and it said Mark. And I was like, what? And I questioned myself, like, what the hell was that? Because it wasn't out loud. It wasn't audible to anyone else. It was just in my head. And I went, oh, God. And I just said, Mark. And the guy that was in the building with me, he stopped and he turned around and he looked and he goes, why would you say that? And I said, what? And he goes, why did you say Mark? I go, you know what? I really can't explain that right now. I just got a name in my head, and it wasn't even in my voice, and I just said it. And he goes, okay, you have officially freaked my freak. And I'm like, okay, well, why is that? And he told me that there was a person that worked there named Mark that died in an accident. And it wasn't that long ago. And I was like, holy crap. So when you get your messages, okay, and I asked a couple of my psychic friends, okay, when you get your messages, how do yours come to you? So, they say sometimes movies. They say sometimes flashes of just like pictures of things that happen. So how do your messages come to you?
Okay, I guess it depends on the type of message. So if it's like a one or two word or a name,
right?
I actually, for some reason, I just know it, and then the image of literally just the text appears in my head. So if, for example, for whatever reason, it was pickle was the word I needed to say, and that just came to me for whatever reason right now. I have no idea. That's a better word. Pickle. I will actually hear the word, and then my mind will put that image up, and then I'll read it from my own mind. So that's how the single words and the few words come. Now, if it's an image of what happened, it absolutely does not. If a description of something that's happened, that's not how it's done. It's actually like you said, flashed in like a movie, a brief movie, and it may or may not be exactly the scenario of how it happened when it did. I'm not actually seeing it in real time, back in the day. It's just like, here's a person, here's a knife, here's a stab, that person's dead. So it's not that it has to come,
it doesn't have the clothing that goes with it and all that. So it's not a vision of, it could be or what?
It absolutely, it can be. I can see the colors of the clothing oftentimes, but it's not always drawn out that fat, that detailed. It's just a quick thing, and then if I want to go further from that point, then I will try to see what color clothes or what time of day or something like that, and see if I have any success with that. But and it's not, it's not as vague as a stick person, that you drew on Microsoft Paint, but it's something quick to get the point to me, because I think that I know, my subconscious knows, I forget a lot of stuff, so I've got to catch it quick, and then get it out there, the information out there, and then I can, dwell on it a little longer and see if I can figure out what exactly we're talking about.
Right, and I noticed that Justin and I actually met, just for those of you listening, actually we met through Chip at, when we were filming, Chip and I with the Klinge brothers, we filmed a little thing called Shadows on 66, and Justin came up to hang out with us, and we kind of walked through the Galena Murder Bordello, which, check it out on Facebook. It's an amazing location.
It is.
But, yes, it is a very amazing location. But when Justin and I met, I really wasn't aware that he had abilities. Chip really didn't say anything like that. And so when we walked through the house and you were getting all these words and you were writing them down on your, in your little phone thing, and I was like, what are you doing? And you go, well, I'm getting these words and I have to write them down because I'll forget them. And then I can go back later and see if they make sense to what the hell's going on here. And I'm like, oh, okay. And that's the first time I've ever seen anyone do something like that. Like, like Chip, he just walks through and just says stuff. You know what I mean? And people, of course, follow him around with cameras and audio recorders or whatever. Because cameras are, he's such a good guy and everything, so they love him. But,
they would follow me with a straight jacket. You're right.
Yeah. Writing down all these words, and I was like, that's pretty cool. So, a friend of mine, Blaine.
I wasn't writing down the words that Chip was spouting out. This was a different time.
No. Chip wasn't there. It was me and Justin alone in the house. Chip was actually doing something else, somewhere else, and we had went over there alone to go check out the house and just kind of do a walkthrough. And Justin and I were there alone. I didn't tell him anything. He just walked. He said, I don't want to know any of this stuff. Just let me walk through and see what I get. And it was really cool. And this was before all the furniture and stuff. But now they've got it. It's amazing. I don't know if you've been there in quite a while, but it's beautiful. And it's still active as can be.
I'm well overdue for a trip back. And
well, guess what? Maybe in March, maybe we could scoot on up there for a little bit. I don't know. But either way, it does. It comes to people differently. A friend of mine that we take on investigations, hers comes to her like a movie. And when the messages are done, it's like there's nothing else on the old-timey movie reel. It's just like a blank, frame. Just over and over and over, and that's it. So they'll, well, I think that's it. And I'm like, okay. And, then we'll go back and try to figure out what it is and match it with the history. But no one that does this kind of stuff, even Chip, don't know anything going in. That's the cool part about it. Are you the same way? You don't like to know anything? You just want to go in cold and see what you get and then kind of go back and then research and match it up? Is that what you kind of...
It depends. I mean, if it's more if I'm testing myself or not. I don't do this for a living. I don't even do it for others. So that, as far as delicate situations, it's mostly for haunted locations and such. That's what I use it for now. It's not so much to say, hey, this is what I think you're doing with your love life and your career. I don't go into that. So as far as location reads, if I'm testing myself, sure, I always like to go in cold and not knowing anything. Okay. It's hard when you see, I refrained from watching paranormal shows on television for years because I know I'm going to these locations. I don't want anything in my head beforehand,
Right.
And that's why I'm excited about some of my 2015 journeys that are coming up because there's places I've never been. So I'm trying not to look into the information at all on the internet, and you're like, you're going to be at some of these locations I know, so when I go in, I want to be cold for sure. I haven't read a single thing.
Right, and the thing about those locations that we're both going to be at this year is they're like dream locations. The first one we're going to be at is Floss Furnaces, and I'm not going to tell you anything about that because you don't want to know. But go to flossfurnaces.com. Get your tickets for it. It's going to be over Valentine's, February 13th and 14th. And we're going to have speakers, vendors. It's going to be amazing. My friend Blaine says that place is no joke. Lisa Brown says it's no joke. Everybody that I've talked to says it's no joke, and that's all I'm going to tell you about it because just no one to know. Tombstone is another location we're going to be at, and that's going to be May 1st and 2nd. And the whole town, pretty much, is ours. And that is going to be an amazing bucket list knockoff of, you know what I mean? I'm going to get to actually check another one off my bucket list.
I love it. So, I've done that one. So I do love Tombstone, and I'm excited.
Now is Tombstone where the table incident happened, or was that another location?
No, yes, that was in Tombstone. We were there with, it was a different event down there. It was a great event. We were there with Ben Hansen. He wasn't in the room that time. This was with Chip. Chip was there.
Yeah, because Chip almost soiled his pants.
Yeah, I was helping lead another group of people to some other locations. So what we did was we alternated locations, or the paying customers, they alternated locations while we stood in one spot. So Chip's at the birdcage, and what a great place to be. And this table is huge. I bet this table weighs 300 pounds, solid wood, just huge. It's 8 or 10 foot long. And there was, I had my turn at it. We were sitting there doing investigations, some EVP work, and using the laser grids, and a lot of activity. But as soon as I left, of course, and I took my group to another location, and here he's sitting there, and these guys run out of there. Holy crap! You can't believe this happened. We heard, this bang on the audio. We didn't know what it was when he replayed it, and Chip was telling me step by step. He said, 10 people sitting around this 10-foot table, and it just lifts up in the air all by itself and then slams back down. And the bang you hear, it's everyone's flashlights, K2 meters, everything just go flying.
Yeah, that's what he said. He said it freaked him out. He said his eyeballs were big as freaking $50, and he was like, what the hell? He said something else besides that.
Oh, yeah, I know he did.
But, that was like right before, I think, we filmed, because if not that, it was after that. I can't remember, but I remember him telling me about it. He was like,
it was right before. That's why I came up to the Galena murder Bordello, was because we were in, literally, this is how it went that weekend. I was in, where was I? Gettysburg with him, and then like 2 days later, he was in Tombstone. So I went to Tombstone also, and then he's like, hey, come back to the murder Bordello. I said, that's an hour from my house. I have no reason not to go. So I came, and, we pretty much spent like 3 weeks together just hanging out and doing silly stuff like that and scaring the crap out of us. But we had a lot of fun and met a lot of people, and Tombstone is definitely one of my favorites. So, yeah, I'm excited to go back there.
See, I've never been to Tombstone, and both of us have never been to Sloth. So we are Sloth virgins. I'm going to get my cherry. I know, but you know what? I'm going to go ahead and say this. I'm going to put this out there. I'm getting my cherry popped more than once this year on a couple of locations, so that is okay with me.
Oh, my gosh.
You know me. You know how much fun we have. Now, remember the come and goes in the stores that we had other names for?
I'm an angel. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yes. Oh, that's right. You had your earplugs in for that conversation. So, we won't, as for Scott Grinwald, and this is a shout out for you, crazy man. We aren't going to say that we have projects that we're working on for TV and we can't talk about it. We thought that was a great post, by the way, Scott. Anyway, so I had to shout out for that because that was greatness. Yeah, right? The Pink Tutu Paramore.
He's another one of my favorites, and I like Scott. I hung out with him in Chicago a few weeks ago. It's probably been a month and a half ago.
Little gangster action going on.
Yeah, we had a Gangster Paranormal where we were actually filming the whole thing, holding our cameras sideways, like a gangster. So everything you see, completely sideways. That's how you film Gangster Paranormal with Scott Grunwald. That's how it's done.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you for that lesson. I can't wait to see the footage. I'll be sure to get my neck ready to be sideways for like an hour or whatever. So we were going to talk a little bit about some spirit box action that you got going on. I know I saw your cover photo on Facebook or whatever, and I like the little Andy's box on there, and I know that that's one of the things that you're really into is spirit boxes. So tell us a little bit about how a spirit box works. I mean, let me just say that real quick. I had Rob D on my show a while back, and when I interviewed him, he told me, he said, let's just call a spirit box what the hell it is. It's a freaking radio scanning frequencies, and that's what it is. It's a scanning radio, folks.
It is. It's a broken radio. I mean, that's an argument for sure.
Yeah, it's an argument. So tell us what your spirit boxes are all about.
Okay. Well, first, I have a variety of spirit boxes, or if we're just calling them spirit boxes, as a generic name, we can call them shack hacks or hacked radios or broken radios for that matter. But the Andy's box, for example, produced by Andrew Opelander out of Chicago, I love his box. It's a great box. His has, a tuning. It basically, like you said, it scans, continually scans. Right. And he actually has an echo version where it adds in a feedback loop so that it creates kind of an echo. And the way I look at it is, how when we sing in the shower, it always sounds so much better than when you're singing out, outside of the shower because of that reverb and everything. So it just enhances it enough to make it sound better. I like it. I like the echo version because it does seem to it drags out the responses a little longer, so you're able to catch them a little easier. That's my how I feel about it. I have several other now. I couldn't even tell you how many I have, but I trade them off. I try new things all the time. I haven't actually built my own at this point. I've only modified other people's designs and done some of the hacks, which are, I didn't discover the hacks by any means, but they're radios that you can actually modify the circuit board and create the scanning effect.
Okay.
So how, why it works, I don't know anyone that knows. I really don't. I mean, you're scanning. There's different ideas and theories. Some people are saying that it's actually picking up the DJ's voices, okay? And in those voices, some people say it's, coincidence, that the DJ says this. But to me, it happens in all different forms. I get responses like that come through as an actual DJ's voice. I get responses that come through in a person that I know personally passed away. It's their voice, and it continues in their voice the entire time.
Wow.
So, why that's happening, I don't know. But I know that, my grandma, I know her voice. She just passed away a week ago.
Yeah, I saw that. I wanted to say I'm sorry about that, buddy. I know that sucks.
Thank you.
I don't have any grandmas left. Mine are all gone.
That was the last one, for me. But
yeah.
So I'm taking applications for grandmothers. I'm just saying.
All right. Yeah, me too, right? I need some grandma food. You know what I'm saying? I need a granny to take care of.
But no, so where was I? So this thing is, it's scanning. I'm getting my grandma's voice.
Yeah.
I'm getting her voice. And it's scanning so fast that it's only on each station for like, a millisecond or however long it is. I'm no, perfectionist on time and expert, but it goes through the entire, from the bottom of the FM all the way to the top. And it can do that within seconds. I mean, so this is scanning fast. So there's no way
it's going to be able to pick up a voice, from that little bit of a time period. It's over all the stations that she's using the frequency.
Absolutely. So, and I don't know why that works, and it just does. But in addition to that, there's certain boxes that I use that when you're recording it, it amplifies the EVPs and allows the EVPs to be amplified pretty much a Class A EVP every time. So in other words, I'll remember a 2-minute session, and I'll remember kind of what's said, and I'll respond as I can. But then on the playback, there's something entirely different that was not coming from the radio. So in other words, it was embedded onto the voice recorder, by a spirit. And if you know what a Class A is, a Class A EVP versus a real dirty EVP.
Oh yeah, a real questionable one like, oh, did you hear that? Yeah. It's going to kill me. That.
No, I mean it does. It makes it like an A or a B almost every time, and it's nuts how. And here's something neat, Selena, is I take my K2 meter. I don't use it a whole lot. Everyone knows what they are. They do work. There's always been question about how well they work and whatnot. But what I do is I will set it usually far away. And if they want to light it up, which they hardly ever do during my sessions, because they're more interested in talking to me or, through the box, I guess they don't feel they need to. But if they want to, I set it there. And it did go off, when my grandmother came, and that was the neat thing is she would be the one to do it because she's like, oh, look, he wants me to use this. Where all the other people that I talk to on a weekly basis, these other spirits are like, we see those all the time. No one messes with it.
Yeah, they're like, screw that boring little stupid box. Yeah. I want you to hear me. If this thing can let you hear me,
She's been gone all of 2 or 3 days, and some people say, oh, that's too soon to start, or her piece. I wasn't asking for her. I just turned on the box, and there she was. I continued life as usual. and that includes spirit box sessions. So the K2, though, the neat thing about one of these particular radios that I use, your K2 meter shows dangerous levels of K2, when it's up in the red. I suppose that's what that means. I've heard that's high amounts of
electromagnetic you need to get it checked. Yeah. You need to have it checked by an electrician, too,
The radios that I really enjoy, and it's not, like I said, it's not my find by any means. It was discovered by someone else, and I just enjoy using this Radio Shack radio hack, this little hacked radio. And that radio emits so much EMF from the speaker grill, even when it's off. The stored apparently it's the capacitors. Either that or every single one of mine is completely haunted because I hold the K2 to it. And it's got to be a capacitor or some sort inside of there, I'm assuming, that's storing energy. But I can leave it on the shelf for months and then hold a K2 up to it, and it will redline it.
Wow.
No batteries installed.
Crazy.
Yeah. And I'm not, an expert on that, but it's telling me that something's different between this model and this model of radio, and then why this model that has all this harmful EMF coming out of it gets me Class A EVPs.
Well, it's like it almost has a built-in EMF pump.
Exactly, and that's what
that's what it sounds like. It sounds like these older ones with the grill, like you're talking about, have a built-in EMF pump. So of course you're going to get Class A EVPs because that's what helps energy manifest. So the audio part of it is awesome, and that's the part that I rely on the most, because out of all the hours of looking at freaking dorbs and orbs and insects and trying to figure out if that's this, that, and the other, oh my God, I've got, that's what, nobody wants to monitor the freaking cameras. Nobody, because it's the most boring job there is, because it's so rare that you can actually capture an apparition that's not, that you can actually say, yes, that for sure is an apparition. It hasn't been photoshopped, it hasn't been apped, it hasn't been this, that, or the other. That is the hardest thing. But when you get an EVP, then you're the only one there, and you hear someone else talking to you and answering you, and you didn't hear it out loud, and you don't have abilities. Let's just say the average Joe. That is something you cannot deny.
Right.
And if you're not using a ghost box, you really can't deny it, because that's an actual voice embedded on that digital recorder. That's the most amazing evidence to me, is hearing someone's voice. So out of all those Class A EVPs, just real quick, what's been your best one you've had? Just the one that sticks out, the one that's like, I know you probably had a ton, but 21 plus years, please.
There's a lot of them, but it wasn't until I discovered this box that I was able to just, I could lay a recorder down, and then you're always listening. It seems like you're straining to listen for an EVP a lot of times, and then you're trying to make something out of nothing. What was that? Was that something? I don't have to worry about that. And anymore, I've taught myself, if I don't hear it on the first pass through, it wasn't important enough. I'm just going to keep going, because you'll waste hours of your life listening, trying to find something when you could be using that time to do a whole new session. There's just no sense unless you heard something that that threw up a flag and said, "Hey, I need to go over this closer." I do a pass through, and if I hear something, I rewind it. I play everything at half speed. I don't enhance or anything like that. There's no need to. With this box that I'm using, I'm telling myself I don't need to enhance anything. It's just slowing it down. So if I do a 2-minute session, it takes me 4 minutes to go through it, pausing a few times and rewinding. So it takes a little bit longer, but I can hear everything so much better on half speed, and it's clear as a bell.
Wow. What's so crazy is that we went to the Stanley Hotel for the Lost Limbs Foundation thing, with Chip not too long ago. And it snowed like crazy. It was like blizzard snow, but it was absolutely amazingly gorgeous. And we got an EVP in our room. We if anybody goes to Stanley, stay on the 4th floor, just staying. That place is hopping on the 4th floor. It is the most active freaking floor. We had stuff going on the whole time we were there. We had cameras running the whole time. That place, we got an EVP, and we were listening back to it. And I said, or Helen said, who are you? Who is in the room with us right now? And they both heard it because they both had real-time EVPs running. And it said, like that. They couldn't make out what it said. So I listened to it, and it's I swear to you, it said Richard. You know, it's Richard. And they get back home, and they're going to put it on, you know, line for the Stanley Hotel, and they couldn't hear it then. But we rewound it and played it back 5 times.
Right.
Where did it go?
It's a miracle that this stuff. I know it's a bad thing a lot of times, but I've had that happen. I mean, there's times I'll say,
what the hell? We heard it 5 different times. We even slowed it down, and I said, I'm not, you know, my eardrum burst when I was in Seattle one time, so, you know, I still have good hearing in it, but, you know, not as good, but I heard it. It said, Richard.
Yeah, no, and you'll send it to someone, and there's nothing
and it's gone. And I'm like,
everything
oh,
else
my
is
God.
there.
Yeah.
That part is gone. Yeah, that's happened numerous times, and it's very irritating.
We thought we were all crazy, but I'm like, oh, are you serious? I mean, you would have to turn it up just a tad because, like, we didn't have a box like yours. We did have an EMF pump outside the door. What kind of box is this? I'm kind of curious because it sounds like we might need to invest in one of these.
Well, let me go back before I forget. You had asked what my favorite my favorite EVP was.
Yes, and ADD caught a hold.
There's been so many, like you said, but, you know, as far as something that sticks out in my head, like I said, I forget a lot of things. That's why I write a lot of stuff down.
Right.
But as far as there's a couple that I just crack up over all the time. One of them, and my wife does too, when I told her about him, she was involved in one of these sessions. And I said, what's going on? You know, spirits, my friends. And then this guy says, I don't know. I just drove in here. And I'm thinking, they're driving now? I've never heard a spirit tell me that they're driving. And it's clear as day. And the wife just fell to the floor laughing because it was a real-time response. And it was, you know, it was long. He says, I don't know. I just drove in. And I'm thinking, wow. You know, either he still thinks he's, you know, taking a drive, or maybe he is. Who knows? And then the other one.
That'd be cool.
It's like the Jetsons.
Right.
and the other one was this lady. You know, I'm sitting here in my basement, and I'm doing my own session, and I'm using the same box I will tell you about in a minute. And I said, man, you know, I was thinking I got to hurry and save this before something happens. I got some good stuff. You know, that's what I'm thinking in my mind as I listen to it. And then as soon as I say that, the next EVP that came was a woman, and she goes, I'll erase something. And I was like, no. You know, I pulled the EVP, the recorder out, and started, you know, putting it on my computer immediately because literally, you know, I was thinking on the playback. This is on the playback after the session. I said, man, I got some good stuff. And then the very next response was, I'll erase something. Okay, but this had been recorded 20 minutes before that. This was a long session, and I was going through it, you know, at half speed. So this had been recorded way before. And, you know, so did she actually embed that during playback, or did she know ahead of time that I was going to be thinking at that exact moment, I've got some good stuff, I need to hurry up and save this?
Wow.
See, I don't know what to think of that. Either maybe she just randomly came in and said, I'll erase something. Maybe she went into the future and said, hey, here at this time, he's going to be thinking, you know, so I'm going to throw him for a loop and say this. And that she did. So,
isn't it crazy? I mean, so your theory, okay, what is your theory actually? Because when I was working with Brad and them, their theory was that we are living in a parallel universe and that there's another world going on just like ours, parallel to ours, of course. That's why they call it parallel universe. And that maybe sometimes we get a peek into their world, they get a peek into our world, they think we're dead, we think they're dead. What do you think about that? What do you think about that theory?
You know, I'm not to say that's not true. I mean,
what do you think about it?
I'm kind of a slut in this sort of thing. I like to pick and choose from all different theories, honestly. I like this, you know, these people say this and people say that. I take a little bit of everything, and it doesn't make sense. and they'll contradict each other, but I go with it because I don't know and I don't care. I'll pull down your underwear. No, I had to finish that. So I don't know and I don't care. I just want to find out.
Pull down your underwear. I'm just saying.
Just saying. No, I just want to find answers. So, I believe, time is a ball of yarn, and all these things are, I'm saying there's different things that I've grasped onto and thought that makes sense under these circumstances.
Right.
So I really don't know, but that is one theory that I've, held on to, and I don't know if I got it from them or what it was, but yeah, you peek in, show me mine, I'll show you yours type of thing.
Exactly.
We're in each other's world. I could definitely see that as a possibility.
Yeah. I mean, can you imagine what they think? Like, damn, what the hell, dude? And we think they're in our space, and we're like all invading their space, walking in, some of us, telling them demanding them to talk to us or whatever, and others are more kind and, ask, for them to communicate, like in a respectful way. It just depends.
Yeah, and I try not to think too much about how many planes of existence are there. I don't know.
Yeah.
7, 11, are there 7 above, 7 below, are they next to us? I don't know. And I'm writing a book, and when that comes out, you'll even see, I don't give a damn. I tell people, I don't know. This is just what I use for my research. It doesn't always make sense, but there it is. Deal with it. That's how, because we're not going to know. I'm not going to be right. Even if I said I was right, I would be wrong. And so is everyone else out there.
Right,
so
right.
I don't care if you believe, the records are stored on this plane or that plane, or if this is an astral plane, or if it's the lower or the upper. I just say, it's somewhere up there, and I do this and I do that, and it works, and we'll go from there. I'm too worried about getting other things, accomplished to sit and argue with someone over, things like that.
Yeah, way too much brainiac crap for me. You know what I mean? I just know there's something other than what we're dealing with here, what we see. I know that energy doesn't die. I know it has to go somewhere. It never dies. And I was talking with Carol last night about actually DNA now, because her and her team are going to do some forensics at Sloss Furnace, which that's going to be an added bonus for everybody. If y'all come out and check that out,
big
that's
bonus.
So awesome. Yeah, and I want to learn forensics, but we were talking about how, how DNA is like 99.9%. There's nobody that has your DNA. You know what I mean? That's your DNA. It's to you, only to you. Well, they're finding out in this really cool study in Germany they've been doing. First off, they know how much a human spirit weighs, which is freaking crazy, okay? Like, at the moment of death, it's like 3 pounds or 3 points pounds, you know what I mean? But it's like, what? How the hell? And she explained that they put dead people on, or people that are fixing to die, that are like terminal, that are fixing to pass away, that are like moments away from death, on a scale, and they weigh them through the whole process of them dying. And the moment of their death, their spirit weighs 3 point whatever pounds. Okay, well, all this crazy stuff with forensics says that DNA is said to repeat itself like reincarnation. They're trying to kind of put that together. And it's in the same family, or in the loop of the same family. And I'm like, okay, that's crazy. Because it's, first off, I've heard we choose our family, and I'm like, I love my mom and a lot of my family members, but some of them are crazier than I'll get out, and why in the hell? You know what I mean? So I do that.
Yeah,
but
you chose them because you could handle them. You're stronger than a lot of people.
But I love every single one of them. If I chose these crazy people, it's because I love them, and I do love every one of my family members. They're nuts, but they just make it all fun. But it's the fact that it's like they say, this great-great-grandfather, they can take DNA from the great-great-grandfather, right? They can store that into a records, or, whatever they're doing, their study logs or whatever, and then a baby's born 2 generations later, the great-great-grandbaby or whatever. They take DNA from that grandbaby, and it's exactly the same as the great-great-grandfather.
How come that,
What? Now who's the daddy? You know what I'm saying? So that kind of crap right there, that kind of study, that is so cool So, you wanted to be called a researcher instead of an investigator. Now, tell us why that is. What you think the difference is between investigator and researcher?
I like the letter R.
Oh, yeah, I forget.
No, it's like this. We had Zero Freak Paranormal, Zero Freak Investigators, and
right.
That was my team that I had founded and led for over 10 years, and then I just kind of dissolved it, recently, and it was called Investigators. It wasn't called Researchers, and if you get down into it, I guess you could figure out some theories as to why I would choose this or that. I really don't have anything other than everyone says I'm a ghost hunter, and then it became I'm a paranormal investigator. Well, there's private eyes and private investigators. I just said I'm a researcher because what I'm doing is I'm trying to find answers, and it's not in a way that I would need to investigate anything. If you're investigating something like an affair, someone's having an affair, there's higher just
like cheaters.
Yeah, that's cheaters. It's not like that's life or death. Well, it is death, but we're doing more research than anything as far as what's going on, and I just use the word researcher. I don't know. I'll use both. You'll catch me using both.
And that's so funny
because I'm a ghost hunter, but that's because it's all the same.
Well, I'm a rep for the Ghost Hunter store, so I'll have a shirt on most cons you'll see me at that says ghosthunterstore.com. So sorry, but that's just how it's going to roll. But
No, go ahead.
Ghost Hunter's cool, but investigator, when you're doing privates, when you're actually investigating things like and researching, you're doing both. Because you're kind of investigating the family, you're kind of doing a little research on their mental state, maybe what they, you know what I'm saying? Because some of them are just, they see too many ghost shows, and they're like, oh man, that'd be cool to have a ghost team come out.
Saturday night's entertainment, my friend.
Yeah, let's watch this shit. That'd be cool, And so they take all these things they've seen from TV, and they have all these claims going on, and we go out there, and I'm absolutely nothing. And I'm an empath, and I walk in and I don't feel nothing. You know what I mean?
You're like,
then we got issues.
Like burnt toast. You sit on the floor.
Yeah, and they're smelling sewer, and I'm like, well, maybe your freaking toilet sucks or something. I don't know, but you have to investigate everything from natural to, paranormal. So, and it is, and then now I'm into the actual researcher stage because. Now that I've learned I'm an empath, I'm researching shielding and grounding and things like that to help me, to help others that didn't maybe know they were an empath. Because God knows if I'd have been to a con years ago and they talked about being an empath instead of a psychic, because I knew I wasn't that. I can't see dead people, and I can't, although I might have when I was a little kid, I had an imaginary friend, but, I can't talk to them. I can just feel their emotions or something happens, you know what I mean? But I didn't understand it. So I'm researching that now, and I'm also researching a little bit of this thing called out-of-body experiences. What do you think about that? What's your take on that thing? You think that's a possibility that can actually happen, or...
Out-of-body experiences?
Yeah, like out-of-body experiences, like, say, a dream that puts you somewhere at the same time it's happening, but you're not actually there, but someone close to you maybe there, and you see what they're seeing. Is that astral projection? Is that out-of-body experience, or is that just a dream, a premonition dream? What do you think that could be? What are your thoughts on out-of-body? Do you think it could happen?
So that's one of the few things that had never happened to me as far as when I say out-of-body, what I think of is floating above my bed watching myself sleep. Creepy.
Yeah.
I had never had that happen.
Yeah. I don't really want to see myself sleep.
No, that's like the worst.
Right? Go watch someone else. Like I would float over to Christina Aguilera's house and watch her sleep. And then I'd get and I'd come back, right?
Yeah, I might float with you on that one.
There you go. I'll take you. Let's go. Go ahead. 2 years ago, what now?
A couple years ago I had a dream like that where I felt myself lift up out of my body and looked, did a little rollover, and there I was. And I thought, God, that's scarier than anything else. And I'm a pretty handsome looking guy. I'm like, yeah, I look scary as hell when I'm sleeping, though. My mouth's all open.
Drooling all over the place.
God, I look horrible. My wife wasn't lying, but, you know, the funny thing is she was next to me, and I didn't see her. And, you know, so was I dreaming?
Oh, wow.
Really, you know, Christina wasn't there either, but no one was there, just me in the bed. And so,
wow.
But that all happened shortly after the other thing had happened. And I think I talked to you about that in private, and I went public with it a couple times, but there was an incident where I brought a haunted object home, and all hell broke loose, to say the least. And it was the first time that I was actually woken up in the middle of the night to other than just a noise or a touch. I was physically lifted up out of the bed. And I think you heard me telling you about this?
Yeah, I remember. Oh, yeah. I wasn't going to say anything. That's for you to tell people, not for me to bust out. I'm not the National Enquirer for Paranormal.
Well, it's no secret now. You know, I've told people that shit doesn't just happen in the movies. I was all arched over just like on these Exorcist movies, you know. And, you know, I'd never seen it happen to anyone. And everyone thinks, you know, it can't happen to me. I'm protected. Well, whatever was in this item, you know, that I had brought home, and I'm always really careful. And I just wasn't thinking at that very moment. I had this, you know, outside of my home for months. And then I thought, I'm going to bring that inside for a minute and show the kids. And what it was it was a stone egg. And these stones are finely polished, you know, and they're of high value. It's still worth like $200 or $300, although it's buried in a yard several feet deep. I had found it in the home, you know, a rental property that I had purchased, and had just bought my kids a rock tumbler the night before, and I was telling them how it takes weeks, you know, for these things to get polished real smooth.
Right. So, from raw to polished, it does take a while.
Yeah, it had been going all of 12 hours, and I thought, how funny would it be if I take this in right before I tuck them in and go, oh, the rock's already done. It hadn't even been going probably 6 hours, actually. But I went in there and said, guys, look, they all, you know, they made this. So, you know, I grabbed it and I took it in, and I did not know it was a haunted object at that time. I just had stored it on my back porch and never brought it into the home, you know, until that point in time. And I showed them, and they're like, whoa, and then I told them, you know, the truth. And then it was bedtime. I threw it in my sock drawer, and that way I would open the drawer tomorrow to get my clean skivvies and socks, and there it would be, and I could play with it or put it up or whatever. And it was about midnight, 10 after 12. I woke up, and I saw this black streak shoot out of my drawer. And it turned into a gray swirling matter, and instantly it started either getting bigger or coming closer. And I was picked up just like that, just straight up out of the air, about 8 to 10 inches. And my heels were probably, I don't know, you know, an inch off the bed. So I wasn't bent over backwards like a gymnast or something.
Yeah, they just pulled you up and your feet were still elevated. Yeah.
Yeah, everything. I wasn't touching the bed at all, and I remember I couldn't move. My head was tilted a little to the side, but my eyes were strobing so fast. You know, I couldn't even blink my eyes that fast on purpose, and they were strobing, and the whole room was like a strobe. I couldn't breathe.
Oh, wow.
I couldn't scream. I couldn't yell. And in my mind, you know, I was saying, I command you to let me go in the name of God. And when that didn't work, I was like, crap, you know, that's the best thing I got. It always works. And, you know, come to find out, some people say, oh, you got to say in the name of Jesus. But whatever it was,
wow.
You know, I had said in the name of God. It always worked before. And it didn't. I said that was the best I got. You know, what's going to happen? And I was like, please wake up, telling my wife, please wake up. And she rolled over because I was gasping in my
right.
But I was just sleeping. And I was instantly dropped back down onto the bed. So that was an experience that I actually got on the phone with someone and was up for a full 24 hours after that, cleansing the house repeatedly, you know, trying to get rid of this thing, because that was something that did not need to be there, and especially around my children.
Well, you probably should have had John Jaffis come out there and get that object and take it back to his museum.
Maybe so. I mean, I got it buried in a yard, and the dog kept digging it up for a while, and finally had to bury it deeper, put bricks over it, and sell the house. So, yeah, it's still in the yard. I told the guy, I said, if you want to make a couple $100 real quick and destroy your family, go ahead and dig that up. But
right. Otherwise, I'll leave that shit right where it's at. Well, I was going to tell everybody, we got a couple of minutes left. Let's see. Yeah, we got a couple of minutes left. I was going to tell everybody, if y'all are just joining us or y'all missed the announcement that Justin and I will both be at Lost Furnaces in Birmingham, Alabama, February 13th and 14th. That's only in a couple of weeks. It's like 4 weeks away, right?
Yeah.
They need to get their tickets at slothfurnaces.com/events, and we'll be doing things on Friday and Saturday. Now, Saturday, Justin and I believe, will be doing a panel together right before the investigations begin. So we're going to kind of nail that down, but that should be kind of fun for everybody.
It's a go.
It's a go. Okay, cool. Yeah. So we're gonna be doing a Q&A panel. Go ahead and tell them kind of what we're gonna be talking about, Justin, and also where they can find you, if they can find you on Facebook, if you want them to find you on Facebook.
No, that's fine. That's
okay.
What it's all
Go
about.
ahead.
So we're gonna do a Q&A. Basically, just open ourselves up on Saturday night. It'll be the last presentation of the evening. And, for those of you who are never been on a ghost hunt or just maybe want to pick our brains a little bit, we're going to give you our theories. By no means what I tell you isn't going to be a definitive answer. It's going to be what I believe, and that's that, and you take it, how you want. But I would love to be able to answer some questions for anyone, whether it be equipment related, first-timers or second-timers even, or veterans, whatever. Just talk to us and fill up an hour's worth of time with your questions. So.
Yeah, I mean, I know that, you have some things that you could explain to them about, the hack shacks and all that stuff, shack hacks, whatever they call them, and me being the equipment woman to go to. Now, technicality-wise, I don't know every little technical thing about the equipment, but I know what the hell I use it for, and I know what results it gets, and I know basics about how it works, so I think we'll all be good, and I definitely know. Exactly, and I definitely know that. For one, just to let, just for everybody to know that, one, when you go to Sloth and you come see us and you're going to do the investigations, please wear some clothes that really don't care if they get dirty, because this place it's a nasty place down there, and it could get muddy, and it's going to be cold. Don't wear flip-flops. But get your tickets. And, Justin, where can they find you on Facebook?
Okay.
Or wherever you want them to find you.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I have a fan page set up. It's facebook.com/The Paravenger, TheParavenger, or you can just type in Justin Spurrier and it'll usually pop up. That's SPURRIER, and I don't even know what my Twitter is. I think it's @Justin_Spurrier. But I don't use it a whole lot. I hope to in the future, but I'm not a huge social guy just because I got my hands full with 3 kids and a lot of stuff going on right at this moment. But I'm out there, and I'll talk with you, however I can.
But, we got a lot going on, but we can't talk about it.
Sorry,
we're just totally playing. We got something huge. Yeah, so that's what you said. But anyway, I appreciate you being on my show. I mean, I can't wait to see you in a month, and we're going to have such a blast there, and we'll talk shop a little bit more, and then Tombstone's going to be amazing. So thanks a lot, Justin, for being on my show.
No, thank you very much, Selena. I appreciate it. Good night, everyone. Thanks for listening to me. I appreciate it.
All right, have a good one, man.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye-bye. All right, everybody, I just got a few announcements. I just want to let you know about a couple of events that are coming up. The one is Lost Furnace that we've been talking about, where Justin and I and a ton of other people will be in February, which is the 13th and 14th. Then there is a little thing I'm going to go up to and attend called Ozarks Phenomenon, and it is March 28th in Springfield, Missouri. There are 2 here in Texas, one in Jefferson called History Haunts and Legends, which is April the 11th. Tyler Paracon, which is April the 25th. That's in Tyler, Texas, of course. And then we have Tombstone, Dark Side Entertainment presents Tombstone, May 1st and 2nd. And then there is the awesome Phenomenon up in Pennsylvania, and that is June 18th to the 21st. And before we all go, look us up on Facebook on Close to Death by Selena Roane, or you can look FEAR Paranormal Society up, give us a like, and you can keep up with our guest who's coming on. Next week, we have Lisa Livingston Martin. She is an author and a paranormal investigator and an attorney as well. And she will be on next week on Tuesday. So if you want to go on a spirit cruise, voodoo voyage, I will have all that information on the pages. Please give me an inbox message and let me know, and I will hook you up with that. That is going to sail from New Orleans, February 2016. So until next week, everybody take care. Have an awesome week. Be safe on your investigations. Peace out.